Let's get analysis now on one of our leading stories. As you heard earlier, a new witness has taken the stand at the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial at the Pretoria High Court. Mthokozisi Thwala was one of the people inside the house the day Meyiwa was killed in October 2014. The case has been adjourned to tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Melusi Xulu, Managing Director at Donda Attorneys, joins me now via Zoom. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. There's plenty of developments, of course, in this case, but I'd like to discuss first, this trial resuming after 6 months while the presiding judge, Chifiwa Maumela, faces suspension. Now, this follows a recommendation by the Judicial Services Commission. Unpack what this means for the case.
Okay, the recommendation by JS is that it be suspended because they believe that he's incompetent and he's not finishing his judgments on time. But for this case or other cases that he's still judging on, he has to finish those cases. So the impact is that he has to finish those cases. But the question that I have on my mind is, if the case is finished and maybe he convicts one of the accused in this case, will the accused not say that the judge was a judge that was said to be incompetent by the JSC? But we'll see what will happen when that happens. But it's a question I have on my mind.
Are you worried about how proceedings are currently happening? I mean, we saw a 6-month adjournment before the court it resumed again today. I mean, it started roughly around 10, then short adjournment, then started at 11:30, then a lunch break. Now it's adjourned again at 3 o'clock to resume again at 10 a.m. Just talk to us about these kinds of delays. Do they have jeopardy or actually make sense to what the Judicial Service Commission is actually saying?
Sorry, can you repeat the last part? Sorry.
I'm saying, does this actually bear weight to then what the Judicial Service Commission is complaining about? Just if you take this case an example in terms of the delays in when it starts, the number of adjournments that we've seen.
Okay. I think as much as one would like to compare what happened today or what happened previously in this case to what the JSC is saying, but if you look at this case, it has its own complications, because in the morning I just checked that the former advocate came in and he wanted to sit in. So, I think it's just that the judge must have a control of his courtroom. But yeah, it does worry that it's not, starting on time, but it's things that can happen in a normal situation when, it's a complex case. So I do not want to maybe say this is why the judges say that, because cases are unique and they come with different situations.
I mean, you mentioned disbarred Advocate Malesela Teffo, and I wanted to get into that. What do you make of his conduct, of him appearing in court today? I mean, he was struck off the roll of advocates.
Yeah, look, I think we were all expecting that since he was disbarred, unfortunately for him, he will not be coming in court and requesting to make any comments. But I did not get what happened in chambers. I think when they went in chambers, when the court adjourned, they were able to come to some agreement. And I saw that during the proceedings, he was sitting behind the advocates involved in the case. So it's not clear yet. I just wanted to check under whose instructions is coming in. But I saw that he was with an attorney that was with him, and he was saying he's instructed. I do not know whether it's the family of the deceased or who, but it looks like he does have some advisory capacity in the case, and that is why he's here. So it had to be decided if he should sit in or not, but I believe eventually they agreed that he can sit in, and you could see he was taking notes, so he's following the case. And we did see in the beginning, he has a lot of information. As to how he used that information, that's maybe another issue. But you could see that he's involved, he knows what's going on from an investigative point of view. So maybe he has some crucial role to play, but it's not yet clear for me exactly who is instructing him now. As you know, he's a disbarred advocate, maybe he's coming as a legal advisor, but it will be clear maybe as we get more information on his role.
All right, let's discuss today's proceedings. You know, like I said earlier, it's been 6 months since the court heard evidence in the trial. So we had Mthokozisi Thwala, the second witness who was inside the house, you know, take the stand. What are your takeouts from his testimony today?
Okay, I think I speak for everyone when I say the way he introduced his testimony, how he was coming to meet the deceased, they will be going to the party. You know, it was very interesting, but we were all interested, and there's still a question mark because they had to adjourn. We are all interested to see or to hear from him how Senzo was killed, how Mr. Meyiwa was killed. So far, there may be contradictions with his testimony to Tumelo Madlala. For instance, one that was picked up by one of my colleagues that I was watching the video on YouTube with him, is that Mr. Madlala said the room was dark, only the TV had the light, but Mr. Thwala said there was a light. And then I'm still to check the records from Mr. Madlala, but it looks like Mr. Madlala said the second intruder was the one that was wrestling with Mr. Meyiwa. But then with Mr. Thwala is saying it's the first intruder. Well, those contradictions are still to be confirmed. We'll hear that when it comes to cross-examination. But it's very important for the witnesses of the state, you know, to corroborate when they have their testimony being heard in court. And when there are major contradictions, it kind of affects the case of the state. But like I said, one just needs to check what Tumelo said exactly and what Mr. Thwala said. But one thing that is clear by both of them is that Mr. Long and Thwala ran out of the room, passed the intruder, and went out. So that's one thing that they agree on for now. But tomorrow, everyone wants to hear from Mr. Thwala. How did Mr. Meyiwa die? How was he shot? Who shot him? So then we'll be able to compare the testimonies between the two.
Interesting indeed. So we'll wait and see then tomorrow at 10 a.m. how those developments unfold. Mr. Xulu, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Melusi Xulu, Managing Director at Donda Attorneys, just giving us analysis there.